Welcome to the McCoy Leadership Podcast, elevating your impact through valuable leadership conversations each week. Well, we're excited to have you here for the first episode of the McCoy Leadership Podcast. First episode is going to be fairly short, so you're welcome for that. We're going to take a little bit of time and talk about who we are, what we have to offer, and what we expect to be doing over the coming future with the podcast channel and what you can come to expect from us. So a little bit about us. I'm your host and CEO of McCoy Leadership, Amos McCoy. We're a small leadership company just started up over the past couple of years in South Central Pennsylvania. But thank you to all the technology that's out there today. We can have a pretty wide reach now because we can get to just about anybody virtually if they have a need and they want to engage with us in some sort of way. So you might have noticed by the title of our business, it's McCoy Leadership and Consulting. So we kind of have two different arms. We do a lot of leadership training, which is all around the John Maxwell certified team, which I am a member of. And that means I'm licensed to bring you all kinds of John Maxwell content so you can reach out. And we have masterminds, we have one-on-ones. I do a lot of coaching for CEOs and business executives where that's more kind of a subscription base. But we do a lot of one-on-one, and that can be a special project, or maybe you just need some help for a year or so trying to help make you more accountable, better communicator, and just an all-around better better leader. I am also a DISC consultant, and through that, I offer DISC assessments, the John Maxwell method of DISC, which is a little bit different than some of the other methods that are out there. I like to think that we have a few things within our DISC report that are a little more helpful maybe than some of the others. They're all great, but ours is a little bit different. And DISC is just one of those things that it's great for an existing team. It's great for you as an individual if you just want to take it on your own. If you've never taken a personality assessment of any type, I would encourage you to look personality assessments up, look our DISC up. If you have questions, reach out and ask, but we encourage everybody to do that because a little bit of self-discovery can go a long way. And sometimes the way we communicate and the way we do things, we don't really realize what other people see and how we communicate and how we like to be communicated with. So it can be a tremendous help. The other area that DISC can be a tremendous help is with hiring. If you have an existing team, we have the ability to be able to put together a group DISC, and that will aid you and help you in determining what the right questions to ask when you're hiring and make sure that the new hire is going to be a good fit or at least have a better opportunity of making a good informed decision. We all know there's nothing worse than making a bad hire or hiring somebody that might have all the skills but just doesn't get along with everybody else on the team. Those things can happen. DISC can help us identify some of those things and identify what questions that we should be asking. So a little bit about my history. I currently, of course, am the CEO of the McCoy Leadership and Consulting firm. I am also a Pennsylvania state licensed auctioneer. And from time to time, you might notice when I get a little excited, I start to talk a little bit faster. But I've been doing that for about 15 years that I've been an auctioneer, and I've been around auctions all my life. And one of the best parts about being around auctions, even from a young boy when I started as a runner, was being able to kind of watch people, analyze people, see how people interact. And even as a young man, I started to learn and maybe in some fashions mimic some of the things that I saw happening at an auction, because there were always one or two people at every auction that you could tell were just working their way around the crowd. They enjoyed being with people and talking to people and seeing everybody that was there. And then there were others that maybe were just there, didn't want to be bothered. And I started to realize that there definitely are different personality types, even as a young man when I got started as a runner at auctions. Then I started my adult career in a feed mill, and I got to know that business very well. And I stayed there for several years, and I finally made a decision that I left the feed mill industry and I went into concrete block. So I went from 100-pound bags to 60-pound concrete block. Probably, I guess maybe it was a move in the right direction. But my career took off as I was getting started, and I became a plant manager, and later became an operations manager, and then later became an executive. And all of those experiences through the concrete block world, I worked for 3 different companies and a multitude of manufacturing plants around the country. And that gave me the opportunity to be in and out of all of those different plants with all of those different people. And as in my young days, I enjoyed kind of analyzing and watching how people interacted. But I also really enjoyed seeing the different processes and how things worked in each plant, maybe how they handled different types of problems. And it gave me the ability to be able to take what was going on at each one of those places and kind of compile that information and take it with me when I went to the next place. And sometimes I was able to help solve problems more rapidly just because of my experience. I have also been around the construction industry for the past decade. I've been running a nonprofit organization that trains construction workers through apprenticeship. And I've recently decided over the past year that I would be leaving that and running McCoy Leadership and Consulting full time. So with all of that said, what can you expect out of us into the future? A couple of things. One, there's going to be a couple of different types of podcasts that we're going to do. Some will be solo podcasts like this. Might be a little bit shorter, but we'll have good content, maybe something that's going on in the business world or something that I've seen recently. And we'll kind of dive into that, take a look at it, and see what type of leadership principles that we can get out of it. We'll also be doing some interviews. I have several interviews lined up, and we'll try to have a good leadership topic for each one of those interviews. And one of the things I always enjoy doing with when I'm interviewing folks is asking one specific question, which is, what is that go-to book that you have on the shelf that when you're having a struggle with a client or a struggle with an employee or a struggle with some venture that is going on in your business world, what's that go-to book that you go to many times to catch up on? And for me, I'm going to answer that question for today. Probably my biggest thing is getting things done. And the title of the book that I continually go back to is Getting Things Done. Many times I get so busy, sometimes I'm traveling, going from client to client, and many times it's hard to, at the end of the day, have that discipline to be able to make sure that you get everything where it needs to be and to get caught up. So many times over the past 20 years, I end up going back to David Allen's Getting Things Done to take a look at. So with that, when we post this, I'll have a question there. If anybody wants to reach out and let us know what your favorite book is, and that go-to book that you continually or you continually refer back to in your life, I'd be anxious to hear what everybody else's book is as well. On the leadership side, we've been doing a lot of John Maxwell's Everybody Communicates But Very Few Connect, which is very popular right now and seems to be a common problem, as I referred to earlier. I am also doing a number of the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, which a lot of businesses that started during the pandemic are now finding some of those growth pains that exist and some of the struggles that go along with growing. And this is a great opportunity to kind of go through and look at some of those things and make the best out of them that we possibly can. Another avenue that I spend some time in is strategic planning. Strategic planning not only for big businesses, but even down to small businesses that might only have a few employees. Strategic planning is so important. And I enjoy going in and working with groups on setting up their strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years. And on that same note, one of the other things that I do on the personal coaching side is help folks to set what their personal mission statement and values are. That is so valuable as we are making changes as individuals and working within our job, thinking about how that fits into our mission statement and where we want to end up. So that was a very short version and introduction to McCoy leadership. I hope you've enjoyed hearing a little bit about who we are and what we do. The next episode that we do, we're going to do another solo podcast talking about DISC and how that can fit into all the different things that we have going on in our lives. So until next time, check out our social media and our website.